Tell me how you learn. That's the motto of our interview series, in which people share their personal experiences, tips and insights on learning. Good morning. Here we are again with our podcast series, Tell Me How You Learn. Our guest today is Violett from China. Violett, it would be great if you could introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what your background is, what you are doing.
Thank you so much, Ulrika. It's a pleasure. I am Violett. I'm from Guangxi in southern China. I'm actually a minority group, and my background is English language and literature, but I am currently working in a tech company focusing on IoT hardware. It's called a C-Studio.
So you are currently in Germany. What brought you here?
Yes, I'm in Germany now. My purpose here, on the one hand, is to meet different customers, to participate in some trade shows. And also one very important thing is we are looking for opportunities to set up an office here in Europe for Seed.
So did you have so far, you've traveling now 2.5 months through Europe. Was there some wow learning experience for you on the way?
Yes, there's actually a lot, to be honest. I think the wow moments, on the one hand, it's more about like my work. Like when I talk to customers, maybe they tell me some of these user cases, or it might be good, it might be like unexpected, but I did not notice. And sometimes it's during my travels to some museums or into the nature. Yeah.
Can you be maybe a little bit more specific and give you really an example?
Yeah, I think one thing is the other day I actually met my customer to talk about products. Our products is more focusing on sensors, but some of the sensors will use solar panel. And then this customer asked me, like, do you have transparent solar panel? I was like, that never occurred to me. Like, why do we need transparent solar panel? Like from me as product provider or like manufacturer, when we make products, we take a lot of things into consideration about the user cases, scenario, etc. But this never occurred to me. Of course, we didn't design the solar panels, but this is something I would like, oh, may I know why you need it to be transparent? And the customer told me that they installed 2 projects, and then not long after the installation, the solar panels got stolen. So they want to get transparent so that it's not obvious in the field. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. So this is something quite like, it's like the wow moment, but not a good way. Like it's more about like, oh, people will steal it. Then when we design products, we actually need to think about how to make it anti-theft, or like just a thought, but it's a lightning moment, like for me to learn something new, which I did not observe or hear.
So usually when you learn, how do you learn?
I usually learn by observing, like to look at what other people do, or to look at what is happening, and then I reflect, or I see like, why is it this way? I might ask after my observation, or after observation, I keep some notes. When I keep those notes, it's a way for me to like gather things together or categorize them. And then next, I might do some more research to read. But I think observation is the first step for me to learn.
Do you have any preferred digital learning tools?
Digital learning tools. I think one of the most important is the notes on my Mac or phone. Like it is I used to have these notebook, like physical notebook with pens with me, but I actually have a little injury on my finger when I was little. So when I write too much, it gets painful. And also with the physical like pen and notebook is slower. So the most important tool for me, like the digital tool, is the note on my phone, on my iPad and my Mac. So this is the first thing. And the second is the most important tools on my phone. Phone is like the most important thing that is attached to me is this app that I use for reading. So I use Libby for reading English books, and I use WeRead for reading Chinese books. And then after that, I will begin to use notes to keep some of the notes that is making me reflecting or to write some thoughts after I read a certain paragraph. Yeah.
Do you have a special spot, a most favorite spot where you love to learn?
Yes, I love hiking. I love to walk around or like even it's just around the city or the town or walk into a park or climb into a mountain. That's my favorite spot.
And do you have a most favorite time when you love to learn?
I like my learning rhythm is like in the morning is actually during my breakfast. I'm learning language because it's like I can eat and listen at the same time or use this app to begin to read to follow it with some translation etc. So there is like the morning time learning for language, but I actually love to read in the evening, like very late evening at about 1 a.m. when it's really quiet, or if it's during weekend, it will be like late afternoon with like sun pulling into my window, and I would just sit there and read.
When you look a little bit into the future, do you think that, or how should an ideal learning space be designed?
An ideal learning space. Mm, mm.
Like what kind of equipment, what kind of tools, what kind of space should it be?
Uh, I think if looking at space, I myself, on the one hand, I actually like to communicate with people. So I think this place should have some kind of interaction. Like if we talk about future, maybe it's not really like someone sitting next to us, but if this kind of interaction can have some kind of like a syncing, for example, like as now we talk online and then through this platform, but if it is some kind of space that is with a kind of mixed reality that like if I read your books and then I saw you write about Janwa, right? And then maybe if I want to talk to you, maybe we can have this kind of button, and if you are available at the same time, maybe we can have a conversation. So this is really like they said, books is transpassing time and space. And then I think if with technology we can transpose time in this way, it will be very like straightforward, but also very impressive to give us a kind of more intuitive and direct communication. So this is in the space side. And then on the other hand, I also value a lot about like learning alone. Like when I'm learning, I don't want things to go around me with a very noisy or someone tap me and say, hey, help me with something. So I also like this kind of space that is like it can create a kind of aroma or a kind of sound that is more similar to like maybe based on different kind of needs. I might like lakeside in the forest, but then if in a certain part of the city or when people are learning, it's not like you can go to the lake very easily. So this can be like you are still in this area, but I can create some kind of aroma or sound to make you feel like you are immersed in this environment so that you can have a better learning experience. Yeah.
Do you have something which you are planning to learn, some kind of new learning project? Doesn't matter if it's business or for your own.
I actually have been trying to learn another language for a long time. Not the language I have been learning, like English, French, Thai, this kind of language. It's about the programming language. I have been trying to learn Python for a few years because I actually think like this digital like and physical world, like the bridge, the programming language is very important. And then since I work in this tech company, and then they always talk about different kind of technology, about this kind of sensor, this kind of communication, and then I really want to see how might be able to get one step further to understand it better. And also, whenever I was learning French or like other like human languages, Eric, my boss, would say, "Oh, maybe you should try Python." I was like, "Yeah, this seems fun," but I never actually get any further. I learned a little bit on an app. My friend recommended some video to me for me to learn, but to be honest, so far it's not making any progress. I think I just did not get a bigger incentive or a more concrete project that I can learn by doing. If I just learn those terms and then follow to write a code, it seems it's really very difficult for me to remember or to get it to become a skill. So still not there, but this is what I want to try in the next step.
What is the driving force when you learn? Why do you learn?
I think two things. One is I always want to be better. I mean, better than previous self. Like I want to be better next year than the Violett now. I want to know the world better so that if I learn, I think I can have a better understanding of the world around me or people around me. So I always tell myself I want to learn so that I don't get surprised so easily. So that it's like if I don't learn, every little thing was like, oh, that's strange, or I might judge from my own like norms. But if I learn, I think I can understand people better or have a better empathy, or I can contribute more, no matter in a personal way or in the work arena. So there is always the driving force for me to learn, like personally and professionally.
How would you define learning success? When do you think you have really learned something?
I think it will be actually very, very different when I look at things. For example, I think if I get to know a new concept, I might regard it as something that is successful for me already. For example, I actually do not know much about art. And then I was very, very bad at history or geography, etc. when I was in school. But when I'm traveling, because I'm traveling, I want to know about the place I go to, or because I'm in the city, I want to know better about the culture. So I go to the museum, or I just look at the map and see what is around this area, etc. So if I get to know something new before I look into it, I think it's a tiny like a triumph already. So this is about more about personally about new experience or new understanding of the world. But if talking about work or like more of the things that I actually need to give something back to people, then my understanding of a success of learning is I can tell people what it is, or I can express it in my own way. So an example is in my job, I need to learn about the products that we make, like weather station or like carbon dioxide sensor or like some of these sensors that can be used in agriculture. I don't know much about it or why it is used in that way, but I might ask my colleague who knows technology or who knows agriculture. And then after I ask about it, I might keep notes, but then it's still not a successful learning. But if my customer asks me like, oh, I need product for forest fire, do you have any recommendation? And then I will know, oh, actually weather station is needed in this area as well. Why? And then I use what I learned to tell them. Then I think this is a success because I can use my own words to tell them what it is and why it is needed. So I think in this case, like only I can express it in my own way, then I think it's a success of learning.
Do you learn differently when you learn for your job or when you learn privately? Do you have a different approach?
I think there are some similarities and also differences. The differences is like if I learn for my job, it seems it's more like I might be more sometimes it's not good, more impatient, because if it's for job, it seems I actually need to see the result in a short term and then so that I can deliver. But if I learn for myself, I can say like every day, like I continually learning French for almost 900 days, but it's not like I make any important improvement, but this is like the little water that is following. So I think this is the big difference. For myself, I learn, and that is very wide of different books, or like I might try new language and it's not making any improvements. But for work, it's like, okay, now it's about this kind of application in this industry, and then I need to dig about it and learn about it, but then I might drop it because it's not working and then go to the next. It's not in that way, continuously and slowly.
With which color would you associate learning?
Actually, myself, because I give myself the English name as Violett, I really like this color. But this color is not exactly the most important part of my learning color, because for me, violet is like romantic and but learning is not really all romantic. So, but for the learning color, I think I have it as, on the one hand, green, because I think learning gives us a lot of hope. But on the other hand, I also associate it with red, because I have a lot of passion for learning, and red is really very passionate and with a lot of vibrant elements in it.
We are almost already at the end. So the end will be, I'll start 4 sentences and you just finish them one by one. Okay?
Okay.
So
Okay.
let me go to the first one. Learning is
A very important process for us to improve ourselves and also to contribute to the world to make it better.
This is what I appreciate in digital learning.
It is the things that I can get access so easily and without the boundary of time or space.
I wish there would be an e-learning for the topic.
For the topic of sustainability and psychologically connection, as well as cultural exploration.
And the last one is, what is your motto for learning?
My motto for learning is to learn steadily and continuously.
Super. Thanks a lot, Violett. This was it. Did you like this podcast? Were you able to take something away for your own learning practices? What was particularly important for you? We look forward to read your comments, and of course we are happy if you give us a thumbs up. To make sure you don't miss a new episode, please subscribe to our channel. You can find more information about who we are and what we do in the text below. It also includes further links to the topic.